Hello students. Now we have entered in week number 11. As you are well aware, we are dealing with the course Guidance and Counseling, and it is lecture number 1, and the topic is guidance needs of hearing impaired students. What we are going to discuss in this lecture, first of all, we will try to understand the concept of hearing impairment with the help of the few definitions, and then we will try to understand what are the specific characteristic features demonstrated by hearing impaired person, because until and unless we know the characteristic features of the individual, then we will not be able to frame the guidance and counseling strategies. And later on, in next stage, we will discuss guidance needs of hearing impaired students, and we will conclude our lecture. So let us start our discussion with hearing impairment with the introduction. Hearing impairment is considered as hidden disability because individuals with this type of disorder frequently do not display any physical feature that suggests impairment is present. Communication skill, one of the potential factors which is valuable in making interaction in the classroom and in society. We are well aware, if any person is hearing impaired, it doesn't mean his physical appearance changes. As in case of the visually challenged person, one can identify a visually challenged person quite easily because of the facial expression due to lack of vision, and but it is very difficult to understand the individual who is suffering from hearing disability to understand that he or she is suffering from hearing problem. The problem becomes evident and clear when we start communicating that individual. So in regard to his physical appearances and facial expressions also, it doesn't gives any idea to the individual that the person is having difficulty in hearing. So this is why it is called hidden disability. What is the definition of the hearing impaired person? There are three terms which are used in hearing impaired person. Number one, hearing impairment, a generic term indicating a hearing disability which may range in severity from mild to profound. It includes the subsets of deaf and hard of hearing. Three words are generally utilized in case of the hearing impaired person. Number one is hearing impairment. This is basically a generic term. It also includes the students who are completely deaf and who are having difficulty in hearing to certain amount, and their degree varies from mild to the profound level. So what is deafness? Deafness means a hearing impairment that is so severe that the child is impaired in processing linguistic information through hearing with or without amplification. That adversely affects a child's educational performance. This definition was given by the IDEA. What is IDEA? Refers to Individuals with Disability Education Improvement Act of 2004 in United States of America. A US federal law that provides specialized education services to children with disabilities. This is the definition proposed by that IDEA in 2004. So, what is the meaning of the hearing impairment with the help of this definition? Okay, we are using the hearing aid. If in spite of using our hearing aid, we are not making our or our process of linguistic information is getting disturbed and we are not able to hear, it means the person is completely deaf. The people who are able to hear by using the hearing aid, or their level of hearing is enhanced by using the hearing aid, those students or those children basically comes under the hard of hearing categories, which may range from mild to uh, profound categories. There are various classifications given on the basis of decibel. Okay, mild are those who are able to listen the voices of 20 to 40 decibel, and moderate 40 to 60, and then we have the severe who can hear in the range of the 60 to uh, 75 and 75 to later on, and there are other categories based on decibel, that is the knowing the frequency of the document. So on the basis of decibel we can categorize. Decibel is basically a unit which gives the idea to decide what kind of hearing loss is possessed by the individual. That is basically identified by the experts. That is not basically the domain of the teacher and the counselor. Who are the hard of hearing? A hard of hearing person is one who generally, with the use of a hearing aid, has residual hearing sufficient to enable successful processing of linguistic information through audition. So, hearing aid, if hearing aid are being used by the individual and they are providing assistance in the process of hearing, that person is basically not considered as the complete deaf, rather he falls in the category of the hard of hearing. Now, there are specific characteristic features demonstrated by the hearing impaired students. Number one, communication challenges. Number two, language development. Third, social and emotional development. Fourth, academic performance. Fifth, attention and behavior. And there are other characteristic features, and we will discuss in under point number 6. Now come to the communication challenges. Uh, Difficulty understanding speech, especially in noisy settings. Problems following verbal instructions. These are basically the communication challenges which are experienced by the hearing impaired person. Okay, they face in difficulty speech, especially in noisy settings. When the environment is quite noisy, then they will not be able to hear correctly the speech. Problems following verbal instructions. If someone is speaking, they ask for repeat repetition of it several times, so they face difficulty in verbal instructions, may need information repeated or clarified because they are not getting the right voice to hear. Articulation difficulties are also associated with this population. It is articulation means speech impairment that makes it hard to produce sounds correctly, often leading to unclear speech. That is the articulation difficulties. We have the reliance on visual cues like lip reading. What happens in such situations? If we are making communication with the hearing impaired person, then that person basically get the cues from spoken individual by the process of lip reading. May use sign languages. These students, for enhancing their communication, can better use sign language. That can also be taken as a criteria to teach the completely deaf students in the classroom. May use assistive devices like hearing aids. There is a possibility the candidate is belonging to the mild and moderate category, and in such cases hearing aid implement and and by any assistive devices he or she may be in a position to make communication. So communication difficulties are always associated with the hearing impaired persons. If communication difficulties are there, then it becomes very difficult to develop speech and the language. They are completely affected because of this reason. They are generally deficient in language used by most people of hearing society in which they live. So they are living in the society, and it is a natural process that we are basically interacting with the people and uh, communicating our ideas, and everybody is listening and is speaking. So this basically gives the opportunity to get the feedback. So hearing impaired person don't get the feedback from the hearing society. So in such a situation, they face difficulty in developing their speech and developing their languages, and their vocabulary is also very limited because of this reason. The lack of feedback has also been named as primary cause of the deaf children's poor speech production. If you are not getting any feedback from the society, then definitely it will have an adverse impact on our understanding about the concept, about the vocabulary, which is very important in developing our speech and developing our languages. Here we need to understand the difference between the speech and the languages, although it is not a topic of discussion here, but let me tell you very clearly that speech is basically a language which is spoken at home, where the candidate doesn't give significance to the grammar, rules of the grammar. But in language, we always talk about the rules of the grammar, and it must be grammatically correct. In other words, we can say the mother tongue the home language or the mother tongue which we speak at home, that is basically related to the speech, and what we learn by following certain rules and regulations of is language, that is basically the language. Social and emotional development. Another aspect is of the characteristic features is social and emotional development. The communication skill is the key for social and personality development among general population. If the communication is disturbed, it has its negative impact on our personality development and more importantly on the social aspects. It is because of this reason hearing impaired individuals generally have personality and social characteristic features different from those who have normal hearing ability. Their personality and the social characteristic features becomes very remarkably different. Some students may have difficulty expressing their emotions in socially appropriate ways due to limited language skills. If the language skills are not developed, one is bound to face difficulty in making social adjustment, which is directly related to the emotional development. And the fourth aspect is academic performance. Hearing impaired students are typically underachievers, lagging far behind their peers in academic performance. Why they are lagging far behind? Because they don't have the well developed vocabulary, their concepts are not clear, their social aspect is not clear, they are emotionally disturbed, and they are demonstrating many signs of the maladjustment in their personality. And because of the poor self-concept development or retarded speech and language development, they do not achieve up to their potentials, means up to their IQ level in the field of the education, and their achievement lags behind with the normal population. They demonstrate potential deficiencies in acquisition of the reading, writing and mathematical skills. Their reading is affected, writing is affected, and mathematical skills are also affected. These are the aspects which negatively impact their academic performance. Attention and behavior. Their attention span and focus is less as compared to the normal hearing students. They show characteristics of rigidity, absence of inner control, impulsiveness, suggestibility, and much diversity. These are some of the peculiar characteristic features of the behavior demonstrated by the hearing impaired person. They are too rigid in their approach and sometimes lost control on their doings, impulsively act in a situation in an impulsive manner, and suggestibility, believe in suggestibility, and many more characteristic features are associated to that. There are certain other characteristic features on the basis of which we can identify the hearing impaired person. It is because of some negative behavior characteristics the hearing impaired student got poor acceptance in the classroom. Rigidity, impulsiveness, and rude behavior and isolated behavior is not accepted by the members of the other other class, members of the class. So if students are not interacting with each other, not having the opportunity to coordinate and cooperate between them, it has its impact on their mental well-being and directly related to their uh, behavior and personality characteristics. These students face difficulty in understanding teachers and peers because of oral communication problem. So they are not getting the true idea or the to understand the personality of the teachers and the student because of lack of communication uh, issues. May be sensitive to background noise. If there are noises in the classroom, noises in at home conditions, then they find it difficult to grasp the understanding of the hearing communication that need to be understood. Now we are uh, coming to the discussion regarding guidance needs of the hearing impaired student. We have just now understood about certain peculiar characteristic features of the students, and we discuss these peculiar characteristic features in terms of their communication challenges which they face in the classroom, in day-to-day activities, because of the poor development of the language, because of the low vocabulary, less vocabulary, as well as speech development and concept development. They are also facing difficulty in a social environment, and their emotional development is also retarded, and they demonstrate certain kinds of characters which are quite different from the normal population. Their academic performance is also impacted, although there is nothing wrong or no comparison is made on the basis of the IQ level of hearing impaired persons and the normal population. As far as the heredity concept is clear, through heredity they may acquire better IQ level also. In spite of having the better IQ level, there is a possibility of poor academic achievement on the part of this population, because they are not able to use that intelligence in a better manner or in a proper manner, leading to poor academic performance. So after learning these characteristic features, now we will learn what are the guidance needs of the hearing impaired person and how can we tackle these aspects. Four major areas are being discussed here. Number one is academic support. What kind of academic support we can provide to this group of students, and what kind of social and emotional development strategies we can adopt for them, and how can we guide this hearing impaired population for making their transition to the higher education and leading to engagement in their respective chosen careers. And there are certain roles which need to be expected when the counselors are dealing with the problems of the hearing impaired persons. Let us discuss all these aspects one by one. Academic support, communication strategies. Hearing impaired students benefit from teachers using their clear speech, visual aids, providing written materials, and leveraging assistive technology like personal devices, like hearing aids and cochlear implants, and external systems like assistive listening devices, which include FM, infrared, and hearing loops. that enhance sound in a specific environment. Hearing impaired students benefit from teachers using clear speech. So it is the first and the important aspect which we should start. Okay, the guidance counselor need to tell to the teachers, okay, when they are dealing with the hearing impaired student, they should use loud voice and clear voice. There must be clarity in the language, words must be spoken clearly, and there is a need to provide written material to the student instead of the more spoken aspects related to the academics. And many assistive devices are available, highly sophisticated assistive devices are available, and they may be guided to use the assistive devices in order to enhance their communication. Communication already enhances when opportunities are provided to make communication, and allowing the individual at least to use the assistive devices and getting the content of the discussions and the communication which is going on in the classroom. So first and the foremost important is enhancing the verbal communication, and if verbal communication is not possible, then we have to emphasize on the written aspects. Literacy development means early intervention and speech and language therapy are crucial to address potential language delays and support reading and writing skills. It is highly essential that we need to identify the problem at early stages and make early interventions so that students develop their speech and develop their language in the early stages. If they are able to do it, then they will be able to understand the concept which are the basic requirement to proceed in academic journey. Customized learning means individualized education programs with adapted curriculum, learning materials, and assessment strategies are important to cater to their specific learning needs and styles. There will be some students where the difficulty will be quite different from the others, and in spite of using their hearing aid, they may feel difficulty in making communication. For that, the counselor has to prepare the customized learning program where we are concentrating in modification in the curriculum, modification in the teaching learning strategies, and modification in the environment as well as assessment criteria, which are the important component of the academic task. Access to technology. Ensuring access and proper utilization of hearing aids, cochlear implants, captioning services, and other assistive listening services or devices is vital for effective learning and communication. Learning of the use of the technology, first of all, we as a teacher should understand our responsibility. Okay, we must know what are the technology which are being used to enhance the communication of the mild, moderate, and severe type of hearing impaired person, and these must be known to the teachers and to the students and to their parents so that they are using it and availing its benefit in academic tasks. Second important aspect is social and emotional support. We need to provide the social and emotional support to this population because they demonstrate various behavior characteristic features which are not accepted by the members of the society. Building self-esteem. If person is considering himself as in as low confidence and low self concept uh, thinking, then it becomes very difficult to move on in and doing better in academic tasks. So counseling can help students develop a positive self image and cope with the potential feelings of isolation or differences. We need to enhance their self-esteem by providing many assistive devices and using various methods of the communication. and providing counseling sessions on regular basis and providing that the confidence that they have the ability. If they will work on that, they will definitely succeed in their academic journey. Developing social skills is also very important because total personality development is not possible by allowing the individual to develop social skills. Group therapy can be particularly helpful in teaching social skills, conflict resolution, and fostering positive relationship with the peers. Another aspect which is related to the social and emotional support is self-advocacy. Empowering students to understand their hearing loss, articulate their needs, and advocate for appropriate accommodation is crucial for their success. Hearing impaired person should also be aware, or not only aware, rather he should understand their hearing loss, and they should also know what are the needs which are needed in order to fulfill those needs. They may be able to proceed or in a better manner in academic and other tasks uh, which are very important in school situations. So self advocacy is also very important, and it must be adopted, and it must be made ensure by the counseling team. Addressing mental health concerns. There are many mental health issues. Several times I discussed in my previous lecture also when I was dealing guidance needs of other population, general population, scheduled caste population, scheduled tribe population, and minority related population. I talked about the mental health concerns are very important to address. Counselors need to be aware of the higher risk of mental health challenges faced by the hearing impaired children, and be prepared to provide support or refer to specialized services when necessary. There is a need to understand that if the counselor is not in a position to address each and every concern of the hearing impaired person, then he or she should not hesitate to take the cooperation of the other specialized services which are available in the community or in any other school. So we need to concentrate on their stress, on their anxiety, on their depression level because of low confidence, because of low isolated behavior, because of many kinds of uh, behavior characteristic features which allow them to be isolated and not interact with the members of the classroom. Third aspect is career and transition guide. As the name itself indicate, career exploration is one aspect in it related to the topic. Counselors should guide students in exploring career options aligned with their strength and interest and address any potential barriers or misconceptions about employment for individuals with hearing loss. Many misconceptions are present in the minds of the parents and the minds of the hearing impaired person or the disabled persons, differently able persons in general we can say, and in the minds of the general masses also, and the normal hearing impaired normal hearing person also. Okay, they are misfit to perform the responsibilities. So there is a need to identify their characteristic features and need to identify the jobs related to that, and they may be guided in that direction to pursue their job. If there are certain conceptions and potential barriers, then we can also provide guidance and counseling and allow the individual to prepare and get rid of from that problem. Transition planning means support is crucial to prepare students for post-secondary education, vocational training or employment, including assistance in navigating resources and accommodation in these settings. Transition planning means if the person wants to take higher degree, then he must be able to know what problems and what challenges he or she is going to face and what kind of preparation will be needed on his or her part. That must be provided and exposed to these students by the counseling team as well as the teachers and the administrators of the institution. So we need to plan their transition from one stage to the another stage, and at higher education we will provide their transition from higher stage to the uh, working stage. Career and transition guide, another point is related to it, is networking and self advocacy in workplace. Encouraging networking with other deaf or hard of hearing individuals and emphasizing self advocacy skills for the workplace can enhance their chances of securing and maintaining fulfilling jobs. In this aspect, one more thing we need to understand, that we should also encourage to enhance interaction with normal hearing students for developing social skills. So, networking is very important, where all the students, hearing students, are interacting with the other hearing students, and hearing students are interacting with the normal student. They are interacting with the parents, interacting with the teachers, and making their career transition. Now, there are certain roles of the counselor: providing personalized counseling, as I said, offering individual and group sessions to address students' specific emotional, social, and academic needs. We need to identify their emotional needs, social needs, and academic needs. On the basis of that, personalized counseling program can be provided to them. Collaborating with stakeholders, it is the need of the hour. Without it, the task of the counseling cannot be performed. Task of inclusive education cannot be implemented. So, working closely with the teachers, parents, educational ideologists, and speech language therapists or pathologists to ensure comprehensive support and seamless communication. Collaboration is basically the key, in because these students need the support of the various experts, and various experts are collectively and coordinatively work on the problem of hearing impaired person and provide necessary support to them. Advocating for inclusive practices, ensuring the school environment is inclusive and accessible, and that students' rights are protected under relevant disability laws. We have to provide an environment of inclusivity where students are having the access to all the kinds of facilities available in the schools, and they have the right, their rights are protected. So, and relevant disability laws are there, which allows the individual to allow the institution to protect their rights. Their rights are to receive education in a dignified manner, and their needs must be addressed by the teacher, and planning must be made on the part of the institution to provide adequate uh, arrangement or facilities for the education. Professional development is also very important, continually updating their knowledge and skills in working with hearing impaired students and utilizing assistive technology. Professional development is also very important. As I told you, professional development is basically related to the uh, teachers and related to the students also. We need to continuously tend to our students about their needs and how to fulfill their needs, which are related to the academic, social, and vocational and professional areas. Now, let us conclude our lecture. Uh, in conclusion, a multifaceted approach involving personalized counseling, collaboration among professionals and families, and a commitment to inclusivity are essential to meet the guidance and counseling needs of hearing impaired students and help them achieve their full potential. What we have to do, the important aspect is that first of all we need to understand what is the concept of hearing impairment and what are the characteristic features of the student, and we have to deal to this population because this is a unique population. They are differently able student, and address the problems on individualized basis, and high level of collaboration and cooperation will be needed if we are really interested to provide them education in an inclusive setting. Here the role of the counselor becomes highly significant because his role is also not challenging but most complicated as compared to provide the counseling to the normal population. These are the differently able students. They have additional issues and the problem associated to their personality, and their adjustment with the academic, social and other job opportunities is highly difficult. Their needs are also different, their interests are also different, and their approach is also different. So all these aspects need to be taken into consideration, and we need to plan the specialized program, group counseling programs and regular counseling of the teachers and the parents as well as administrator is essential to provide education to this group and making their adjustment better and developing their mental health. So with this we have completed the lecture. Thanks for your patience listening, and God bless you all.